friends, it's Sheree from Turquoise Dreaming. How's everybody doing tonight? Welcome to my channel. I have finished this sewing pattern journal, and so I'd like to do a quick flip through for you and just show you the finished product here. So I just will show you the cover first. This is tied with some vintage fabric, and this is from my friend Laura that I just received, the last Happy Mail I received. She sent me a bunch of fabric, so I was looking through my fabrics for something that matched this journal, and this little black and white polka dot really caught my eye. So I was like, that looks so cute and pretty, tied up, you know, next to this journal. So that's what I made the tie closure out of. And actually it was a strip, you know, a thicker strip. And if you're new to journaling and you want to know how we get all these long strips, sometimes if you don't have a long strip, you can sew two pieces together. So that's what I did with this. This was a thicker, you know, piece that was, you know, it wasn't short, but it wasn't quite long enough for me to, you know, I tore it in half and it wasn't quite long enough to use one of those strips for the tie closure. So I just sewed the two pieces together and made this nice long tie closure. And I like to, when I do that, I like to make a little square like this. This one's zigzag stitched. You can do a straight stitch too, but I just thought this was pretty. And so it's nice, and you know, if you pull on it, nice and sturdy. So that's the tie closure, pretty vintage fabric from my friend Laura that I received in Happy Mail. So thank you, Laura. It came in handy really quick, didn't it? But yeah, this journal was made from, you know, an authentic original sewing pattern. It's butterick, as you can see here. And I didn't cut off any, you know, I tried not to cut off any of the pattern that I didn't have to, like the flaps, I guess I cut off or something. I'm not sure what I even cut off. I didn't cut off very much. But the point is that the pattern governed the size of the journal. So I left as much as the original envelope that I could. And so it is actually 5, I think it was 5 1/4 and by 8. Okay, so, and this one didn't need a lot of embellishing. It's perfect the way it was. Didn't have any writing or anything on here. Here's the back. I did add this rig rack on the back and the front, and I added also on the inside. This is a little bit smaller, or like regular size, and this is a little bit bigger here on the inside, and that's on the inside of the back cover too. And that is on both sides. So we'll just get started with a quick flip through. I'm trying to see if I can see here. My glasses seem to be wanting to fog up. But so what we have here to start on the inside of the cover is a library pocket that I received. This library pocket one time in Happy Mail, and it is, you know, an original from a book. So I kind of made sure I had to like trim around the outside and just kind of trim it up and around the corners. And it had this, already had this craft paper on it. You know, this was like backed with craft cardstock. It was on that. So I left it on that, rounded the corners, you know, and trimmed it nice. And it fit in here just perfectly, I thought. And it added these few little pieces from a butterick. This is not from this butterick pattern, but another butterick pattern. And so there's a piece here, and then I added this little crochet flower with a little pink button right here. And I just want to make sure you can see everything. So, and then if you watch my progress videos on this journal, you would have seen, oh, excuse me, you would have seen these, you know, journaling cards and tags that I was working on. But this is one that I found some online that I printed out, and so cute, right? And it's the 70s. I was looking for 70s patterns, so this is a 70s pattern. This one is Simplicity, and backed it with cardstock, so that's in there as a little journaling card, and it's sewn around the edges there with black thread. So as we start here, the first page is, I have a couple of pages in here just in case you didn't see the other videos, of where I copied my own personal linens. So these are, you know, no one else has these but me. So I think that's kind of neat that I can copy my own linens, and it's like an original that, you know, and unique to this journal. I just think that's so cool. And this is a really pretty one, as you can see. And I did pink dye the back because it had the pinks here. I just thought that was pretty with the pink trim actually on this linen. And then I pink dyed the back with my, I do like food coloring, dyeing my pages different colors. This one's pink. I also do blue and green. So they usually come out really pretty. And this is a spray. Sometimes I paint it on and sometimes I spray it on. And this was like a spritz spray. So you can see that overall spray on there. And I think that looks really neat. So also I used some, I actually have some new pink lined paper and some old like vintage pink lined paper. So I used the vintage pink lined paper in here. That's what this is. So, you know, it's got lines on the front and back to write on. And then this is from a sewing book that I have, you know, one of those big cool sewing books from the 70s. That's what this is from. And so that's a page in here. And right here I have trimmed it with a paper measuring tape. This is not washi or, you know, anything like that. This is an actual paper a measuring tape that I got somewhere like at a thrift store or in a state sale. I think I have a couple of these now that I've found in my travels, and so I thought that was the coolest thing to put there on this page for a trim. And then I just have a piece of that music that I recently, if you saw when I came back from Florida, my mom had given me 2 boxes, 2 whole boxes of music. So this is a piece from one of her hymnals that she gave me, one of the pages. And then this is, you know, kids writing paper. And I have some pages from children's books in here. So that's you know, and they're vintage children's books. So that's what that is. And then here on this page, this is one of the children's books. And it has a belly band right here. So I just sewed it this way. It's sewn on. And it's sewed across like that. And I have a little bulb pin right here with this little charm. I thought that looked cute in here against the black with all the little colorful words. And then here's one of my journaling cards that I made with this little 70s girl on here, and that's sewn around and backed with cardstock. So I just put her right there. This journal was really fun to make, and I hadn't made a really totally sewing themed journal like this before. I mean, it's got eclectic pages, but it's an overall sewing, you know, theme. So this is actually the instruction, you know, pattern paper from this, you know, pattern that this journal was made, you know, out of on the cover here. This was that paper, and I made a page out of it here and added this pretty vintage trim that I thought went with, you know, the colors here. Red, you've got some red and like khaki green and some golds. Anyway, this I thought went really well with the colors. Not that I had to stay with those colors, but just by coincidence, it was, I had it in my stash, and I was like, wow, that would look really good in there. And that's sewn on. So more music paper here. And then this is some ledger paper where I put a pocket. And I'll tell you about the pocket in a second, but let me show you what's in here. So this is just a guest check that you can write on, and you can decorate this if you want. It's got lines on the front and back, and then it's one of the cardstock type of guest checks. These are actually fun if you're into decorating your journal. It's actually kind of fun to. Sometimes this is perforated here on the bottom where they have the number, and this is actually fun to take this off and use it too because it has this red number on here. It's pretty cool, you know, to do something like that in case you need ideas on what to do. Why is there a guest check in there, you know? And then you can write all over this. You can decorate it. So you can have a lot of fun with those. And this is one of the other tags I made. This one came out really cute. Got a little girl here from Tim Holtz. I've got 3 of my little die cut flowers right here. 3 of my vintage buttons right here. This is, the backing here is from the tissue that was in the sewing pattern from this journal. And then I've got some vintage fabric here as the little, you know, ribbon that goes with this tag. And then I've got a button here on this little pin that was sitting around like at kind of like desk ephemera, and I was like, I'm going to put this pin somewhere. I'm tired of looking at this. So since it's sewing theme, it went with this journal, right? A little pin, a safety pin. So I thought that was pretty cool. And then, let me get that back in there. So on this pocket, I was looking around again at my fabrics for something that might match the journal. And I found this pretty, this kind of brownish and rust colors fabric right here. So if you look at the front, you see it kind of goes like with the dark kind of fall colors. And then if you look right here, there's a grayish blue right there. And this trim went perfectly, I thought, with this. It just looks so cool when you open it up and you see that. It just looks, I think it's the coolest thing ever. And then I put a little blue button right there, and that's a vintage button right there. So I thought that pocket came out really cute. And the one on the back half is just like this, except I have a different button. And that's all, you know, zigzag stitched all the way around there. So that came out really cool, I thought. So this is the postulette here. This is one side of it. And this is the snippet trim that I received from Laura, some of it. I still have some left. I have quite a bit left, so I just used this piece in here. And it's some beautiful snippet trim made by my friend Laura that I received in Happy Mail. And I used a piece right here. Since this was a sewing journal, I thought this fabric, all these beautiful vintage fabrics would look beautiful in here, and they really do. And that is sewn on. So on the next page, I have a little, this is one of the children's book pages, and I have a little flip up, flip down here made with ledger paper. And this is actually a little wooden button right here. This is like a little pink wooden button right here. And I put that on there because I was looking for something. I was trying to decide, do I want to put something where I tuck the flap under? I kind of was looking for that. But I noticed this flap kept kind of, you know, staying up like that. It was like it wanted to stay up, and I wanted it to lay down. So instead of putting something where the flap tucks under, I put this little pink wooden button here. It was pink when I got it. I think I received it in Happy Mail. And I put it right there, and it just kind of like weighs the flap down perfectly to keep it down. And I thought it looked so cute there too. So let me show you the flip up, flip down. It's not really an envelope. It looks like an envelope, but it's actually a flip up, flip down. But you could make it into an envelope if you wanted to by just simply gluing down the sides right here, and then it would be an envelope. So just some fun things there. But if you wanted to write all inside here, you could write all inside here if you wanted to. If you don't glue it down, or you could glue it right in there and glue it down for, really secret journaling that no one's ever going to see again because it's glued together. But as we move forward, you saw this was the children's book page, some of the pink lined paper. And then this is kind of a big journaling card here that I made. And this is the tiniest little cute little binder clip here. It's just plain black, but it's so cute. I love these little tiny binder clips. They're just adorable. And so I have, this is from a pattern, and I like the 70s look again with these ladies all together. And here's a little, actually this was somewhere on my desk also, and I said, instead of putting it away, I put it right there, and it actually looks really cute there. So this has got a little sequin on it. That was from Laura. Some of your sequins got loose, Laura, if you're watching this. And I had already put them all away, and then there was one straggler, and so I put them right there. And then I zigzag stitched around there, and this backed with cardstock. And this one was just clipped on here with the binder clip. So that was these are really fun to work on, these tags and everything with these pattern, the pattern people. They're so cool. So this is another piece of my vintage linens that I have. This is that one half of the basket of flowers. And then, so that page was what, pink dyed with the spritz spray, pink spray on the back. And then this is the like doily place mat that looks so pretty in here. And I love how it kind of sticks out over, it doesn't stick way out, but just the perfect amount of, you can see it right here. It doesn't really stick out, but it sticks out far enough so you can see it beyond the other pages, which I think is really pretty. And it just, I didn't plan that, just the way it fit in here. And that's, if it was any other page, I might have cut it off, but with this scalloped edge, it just looks so pretty. And then some more of the pink lined paper. This is from the sewing book, the vintage sewing book. You see the pretty sewing machines right there. And this bag seemed to fit in here well. I was looking through, I have some different colored bags. And you know, you can see the little pink, you know, this is like peachy and there's some pinks in here. So I didn't, you know, use all fall colors. I used other colors in here too. You know, I just love colors, so. But I wanted to decorate the bag a little bit, and this side has some banner on here. This is some banner. And then this has, you know, another piece of the banner. And this little, just decorated with this little fussy cut image from a children's book. So this is not a copy or a printout or a digital or anything. This is actually from a vintage children's book that I cut out. So I just thought that those two were cute. And I like to see that on envelopes and, you know, bags and even pages. I just think that is so cute, those vintage images. And so in the bag, what do I have in here? I tried to include some, you know, vintage ephemera from my stash. So what did I put in here? I tried to include a lot. So let's see. This is a vintage receipt, and I think this receipt came from Aaliyah, I believe. And then this is just some, like, I think I got these in the mail. These are, they might be Easter seals. I'm not sure, but they were, wherever I got them, they're super pretty. So I put them in here so someone could use them. Maybe, I don't know. I think they might be sticker. Well, yeah, I think they're peel and stick pop probably. And then this is some, this is from a flower book, just the description of a flower. And it has the flower right there. And that could actually be colored. So that's from a flower book, a vintage flower book that I had. Another piece of receipt. This is from Aaliyah too. This little numbered page. It's got lines and numbers. That could be fun to write on. And then this is just a little thing I had in my, I have a drawer down here back of me in the dresser. And whenever I find something like little pieces like this, it's just random stuff. You know, I kind of like stick it in there and say, this is for my journal. This is random ephemera that either I've made or found or whatever somewhere. So that was in there, and it has a nice little quote on there. So I just put that in here for fun, you know, with all the ephemera in this bag. So let me get back in there. We'll move on to the next page is the pattern paper, and then a pink lined, and then we're at the middle. Okay, so this is another piece of my vintage linen stitchery that I have. This one I think was Cruel. This is Cruel stitchery. And then, so here's the cord, wax cord binding is what I bound it with. And so I have these charms. I was looking for some charms to put on these strings. And believe it or not, these charms were so, I mean, I bought these a while ago, like last summer or even in the spring, or maybe even in the winter. I just have had these for a while. And so these are two hearts. They're two different sizes, but this one actually looks like it has a little doily in there. I don't know if you're going to be able to see that in the camera. I'll hold it up here. But it's like bronze, first of all, and it's metal. It's pretty heavy, and for a charm. And it's actually got like fabric doily in there. It's the cutest thing. And then there's a little bronze heart, teeny tiny little bronze heart right here. If you can see that beyond my fingers, it's right there. Anyway, I thought that was super cute because it's teeny tiny, and that was super cool because it's got a little doily in there, which is awesome for a sewing journal, I thought. So we're on the back half now, and I'll just kind of flip through because, you know, the back half is the pages from the front, but folded over. So it's the same pages, but there's different things like this. I put a piece of the banner right here on this paper bag. So this is like the bottom of the paper bag. I cut it here with my pinking shears. I made this little button card into a tag. So you could, I didn't do it because I was going to put some paper on here, but it has the date on here, March 1, 1974 right there. That's why I didn't put paper on the back, because I thought that was cool to have the date on there. So this is actually an old vintage button card, and it's from Kmart, which I thought was also cool. I was thinking about that because, you know, we're all familiar with Kmart, but like say my kids, they will never have heard of like my kids don't have any kids yet. So like by the time my kids have kids that are old enough to think about and remember the names of stores, they're not going to even remember Kmart, which is weird for me to think about, which I know that has happened through, through time or whatever, but just Kmart was such a staple. Kmart was everywhere, and now it's gone. So it's just weird, kind of sad to think about. My kids are never going to, not that Kmart was some great store or anything, but, I did go there. So not too many options in my small town here. I had Kmart and Walmart, and then Kmart left, and I know I'm glad we have Walmart, but it was nice to have that second option. You know what I mean? So anyway, onward here. So the paper bag we looked at, let's see, we didn't look at the back. I put some pretty napkin on this side with some more of that banner. So, and colors kind of go together there. And then in this bag, we have some goodies. Let's see, what did I put in here? Okay, so this is really cool. I'll show you this in a second. This is a little card, like a vintage card, and it's one of those old cards that, unfolds like this. So you could write all in here. You could glue it together and just stick things inside, like secret little things you want to hide. You can write in here. You can decorate it somehow. It has a pretty little picture even on the back here. So that's a little vintage card. This is a Rolodex card with lines, which I think is always fun to have lines to write on. This is just a little typewriter cut out from a paper pack. And this is cool because I have not parted with any of these, but since this was a sewing journal, I got these tally cards, and I didn't know, I got them on eBay, and I didn't know these were in there. I mean, I guess I saw that. I mean, I look carefully at the pictures when I buy something on eBay, but when I got these, I was like, first of all, they're paper. They're not the cardstock that tally cards are usually made out of. But the thing about this one is that, here's the inside. Okay, so here's the flower for one thing, and then you open it up, and it's kind of upside down. So the lines are over here, and then there's where you write your score, I guess, total, name, table number, couple, 1 through 5 lines there. So that's the inside. And then, so it's like you got to flip it over to see, get it right side up, because I don't think it's supposed to go like this. That would be upside down. So I figure it's like this. So this part, this is like a flower bunch here, whatever, plant. So this looks like it's drawn, the green and black. It looks like pin. Here, this looks like someone signed their artwork. And this is flowers that somebody made. This is thread, okay, like embroidery right here. I'm trying to feel if it's, I don't even think it's glued down or anything. It might be a little glued down though. Yeah, I think it might be a little bit glued down. I'm not sure. I don't want to mess it up. But when I was so impressed when I saw this, I was like, somebody, first of all, the fact that I get to have these handmade, embroidered tally card, bridge tally cards, and I just was like kind of blown away when I saw that, and I've been kind of just hanging on to them. So anyway, this is really special that I partnered with one in here, and I thought that was just, I wanted to explain that, how special that is. I hope someone enjoys that. I have a few more. I don't know if they're all the same. I don't remember right now. I think they're pretty much like that one, but I thought that was really cool. That's somebody's artwork there, so really neat. Somebody's original, like, little creation that they made. And it's old, it's, I don't know how old it is, but it's vintage, so it's pretty old. It looks old too, So onward and forward here. This is a piece of the children's book page, the pink lined, the doily placemat. Copy of my vintage linen there. Spray painted pink on the back, or dyed. Pink lined paper here. So this is a fun little part right here. This is on the, let's see, what page is this? This is the children's book page. And what I did here was I added a flip up. So this is some of the scrapbook paper I have that looks like pattern paper. So So this is not from the pattern. This is actually from a scrapbook paper pad. And I just happened to find this. I wasn't really even looking at it, or I didn't even remember that I had it. I just was looking for pretty paper, and I pulled out this pad. I opened it up, and there this was. I was like, oh my goodness, was that meant to be or what? You know? So I took a piece, this piece right here, and it's a really pretty piece with this dress form and the scissors. You know, it's got some measuring tape here. I mean, this was actually a scrap on my desk because I used part of the page. I don't know. I think I used it. I don't know what I used it. I used it on something in here. And this was a scrap, and I picked it up and I said, I need a flip. What can I use for a flip? And this piece was sitting here so perfect. I was like, oh my goodness, that is so beautiful with that dress form. It's a perfect little cover for my little flip here. So I sewed it onto some coffee dyed paper. So I've got a few pieces here. As you can see, are they coffee dyed or avocado dyed? I think they're a little of both, actually. I did some of my coffee dyed paper I have mixed with my avocado dye. You know, kind of, you know, it's kind of just a process I was having fun with. So that's what these are. There's 2 of those, and then here's the book page. You can cover this if you want to. And then I sew them together separately. And then let's see. No, I must have, because this is sewn through. Okay, anyway. I'm trying to remember how I did it, because my goal was also to use this. This is from the top of a thread right here. The little paper on the top of a thread spool. That's what this is. And I wanted to use that for the hinge. So like I glued it on over here. See, it's not sewn all the way through. So I glued it on. Anyway, somehow I sewed it on this side and sewed it onto this so that I would have the ability to flip up. You know what I mean? So it wasn't like glued down and it wasn't partly flip up. It wasn't a partial flip up. It's actually a flip up pretty much all the way, because this is not glued down on this side, just on the other side. So anyway, kind of a long explanation, but it was just fun to make this little page like that. And my whole goal for the whole thing was to use that thread top here for the hinge. So I thought that was fun, for me anyway, to make. So this page over here, I wanted to do another flip up, but this one's kind of a flip out. So on this one, this is coffee dyed paper over the children's book. I decorated it with a vintage label. This is a vintage Denizen label right here. And I have these, I think these are both vintage buttons. And so I use those as a closure. So you just kind of unwrap this little baker's twine, and there you go. Your little flip out is open. There you go. Pretty cool. I thought that was another fun little feature in here. So that just twists around a little bit. These buttons are just glued on there, but they are on there with, I think I used Fabri-Tac on there, so they should be fine. They're nice and strong, and so you shouldn't be afraid to, you know, wrap that around. But anyway, I thought that came out cool. And so now we're at the other side of the post-it. So I made a pocket out of that, sewed that down, added this little black ruffle here as a trim, and this is one of the journaling cards that I was working on with another 70s girl, backed with cardstock. I love her red palazzo pants or bell bottoms from the 70s. And then this is a little kitty cat banner that I have, old vintage one, I believe, and I cut a piece off of that banner, and so that's in here for fun. You tuck that in there. Okay, so here's the other pocket I was talking about, like the same as the one in the front, you know, same fabrics and everything, but here's a different button. And this is, these buttons in here, I believe, are all from my vintage jar. I try to keep all my vintage buttons in one big jar, so, you know, I can either use new ones or old ones, but anyway, this is from the vintage button jar. And then another journaling tag that I made, you know, from a pattern with all the ladies. So really cool. I love the colors in those patterns, or on this one anyway, or on all of them. Okay, so I need to say, before I forget, because I keep meaning to say it and I keep forgetting, and I'm going to link her channel under this, But before, you know, I've been a subby of and watching Kitty Witty Papercraft for a long time. So, you know, and whenever I first discovered her channel, I was like, that is so cool. Those pattern journals are awesome. And I want to make one day. And I started collecting patterns and things to make a pattern journal. And so I've been collecting things for a while, and, you know, I'm finally making one. But, you know, I guess she was probably, you know, I've watched other people making pattern journals, but I guess she was my biggest inspiration, because I think she's the first one that I ever saw make one. So I'm going to link her channel underneath this. But the other day I was watching her channel too, and she made, because I have I think 1 or 2 of these needle packs, and now I don't know what to do with the needles, but I think I saw on her channel where she made a kind of a shaker tag out of a needle pack, and I thought that was the coolest idea, because I have these old vintage needle packs, just a couple, but I didn't know what to do with them. And so I made one too. I made a little shaker tag, and these are sequins from Laura that I just got in Happy Mail. I put some of those sequins in there, and you can see it says needles. It's an old vintage pack. It was an old vintage pack of needles, and I just opened it up, took the needles out. I did put some backing behind here, because I don't think I opened the needles. I think they were open when I got them, like from a thrift store or whatever, or an estate sale or Happy Meal, wherever I got them. And so some of the red backing was ripped. So I put a white backing in there. Plus I wanted the sequins to show up, you know, so I didn't want to use anything on there on the backing that would take away from the colorful sequins and being able to see them. So they do shake a little. It's kind of tight in there, but I think it's just kind of the whole idea of it's just kind of cool, even if they don't move around that much. They do move around. They're loose. But anyway, you get the general idea. It's just a cool thing. An old vintage needle pack made into a shaker tag. And this is some vintage trim that I put on here that went with the colors of this needle pack, because it's red and white. And there's some red. There's a red flower right there. I just thought this pretty colorful trim went with the needle pack. So sorry about my long explanations, but I really got into this journal, as you can tell, and just wanted to put some extra, you know, I had been saving up things for quite a while. So I just kind of put it all into this journal, and just really I wanted to make it special. So here's some more of that vintage trim like I put in the front. There's some more of that. This is probably like on this pattern paper. It's, you know, I put it on both sides so that it would be in the back too. So here's the belly band in the back, a second belly band. Put one in the front and one in the back. And this is a pink dyed. I did pink dye some of my green, like my guest checks are green, but this one I dyed pink with some of that pink food coloring dye that I use. And this is a tag that I made with a piece from this pattern. You can see the girls there with the dresses. They're the same dresses as on the front, but this is from the pattern instructions. And this is the tissue from this pattern, so I used it as a backing in back of the girls, and fussy cut them out, put them on here. And this is a little piece also from this pattern, the butterick. And then this is a pretty piece of like lacy trim here that I put on here as trim. So anyway, and it's backed with cardstock. And then this belly band is sewn on there. So here we have a tuck spot, and this is another tag that I have some of that vintage fabric on right here. This is from a vintage apron actually, and I just love these colors too. It's very 70s colors with the orange and the avocado green and the yellow there. And then here, this is backed, you know, again with the tissue. Got some buttons here, Tim Holtz, another piece from the pattern right here, and some die cut flowers. And this is actually a little pressed flower from my yard right here that I had sitting here in my, because I put away all, again, like pieces that fall out, they end up being desk ephemera, like that sequin I put on that other thing. This is a pressed flower. When I was putting my pressed flowers away in, you know, my closet or whatever, this one was the straggler, and it's been sitting over there on my shelf. I never put it away, and I was like, I just put it right there as a little decoration, and I thought that was pretty cool. This one's got a pressed flower on it too, so that's a little bonus. Okay, so where was that pocket? Right here. Now this pocket is, or this is a tip up, like a tuck spot. So this pocket is special because it's covered with fabric. It's an index card underneath, so you can write in here. And I wanted a strong pocket because I wanted this trim, and this trim is from Laura. And Laura, if you're watching this, you recognize it, I'm sure. But she told me, you know, kind of the background of the different items she sent me in Happy Mail. And this piece right here, she had for a really long time. And so I used it. I told you I'd use it. There it is. And look, after I used it, look over here. It kind of matches this house right here. Is that cool? I didn't plan that. It just happened. So, you know, the two oranges, really cool how that works out. There's a little bit of orange in this fabric too. So, all coordinated, and I didn't plan it. It's really weird how stuff like that happens. I don't know if that happens to everybody, but it happened to me a lot in this book. So, we're at the back here. And here I have a little pocket of goodies. This is from, Maria made this little wallpaper kind of pocket envelope. She sewed it together, and it pretty, you know, has pretty colors on here. Pinks and greens, and it's kind of like pastel colored. She cut this with like pinking shear type scissors right here. A little flap. And right here on the inside of the envelope. So in here I just have a few goodies. What do I have? I put some buttons in here. I put two of these little things in here. I was looking through my stash, and I have these little pink, they're game pieces. I thought they might be fun to play with. Some buttons, and here's even a little tiny button right here. Little pink one. And this is a flower from Laura right here. You know, pretty lace, and there's a little like silk flower in the middle, so I thought that would be fun. And those are all in this little pocket, clipped on that page. Where was it clipped? I think it was clipped on this page right here, wasn't it? I don't remember. I don't know if I want it clipped there. Well, I guess it's all right. I don't know if it was clipped there, but it's there now. And then, so is this the last page? Two more pages here. So this one is the sewing book page. And you can see the sewing book, instructions and things. And this is an old, and I described this in my last video, but it's an old, very vintage, just a kind of a rustic looking, you know, measuring tape. It's a real measuring tape from someone's, I got it either at, I think I got it either at a thrift store or an estate sale. Of course, that's where I get all my stuff, right? But yeah, it's I cut a piece off and put it right there. And I told the story in the last video where I washed it. I don't think, like, it didn't look any cleaner, but I just felt better about it that it was clean after I washed it in some soapy water in the sink, you know, let it dry. And so I felt better about it, even if it looks grungy, it's clean. So it's just old now and vintage and grungy and distressed naturally. So oh, there's 3 more pages. So that was that sewing page. You can see the pretty colors on this side. Pink lined, sprayed linen. This one, the linens. And in the back, I really wanted to put a pocket, but I didn't want to cover up the rickrack. I didn't want to cover up. This is, you know, pattern paper, instruction paper, what I put on the inside of the covers. And so this is some fabric here. You can see that on both sides, front and back. And then here in the back, I put this pretty trim again. That's the same trim that I use on 2 of the pages, you know what I mean? So that's that pretty trim. So I didn't want to cover up any of that. So I used this game card right here. I just thought, you know, you can see the colors. They're kind of like fall colors. There's orange and reds and blacks there. And it went so well with this page and this journal. I was like, that's perfect, and it fits right there. So it's a little, you know, tuck spot pocket here on the back cover. And then I put one of my, I made some of these long, narrow, like coin envelopes. I think they're so cute. There's nothing in here. You can put something in here if you want, but I just put that in there for fun, for for someone to use and do whatever they want with. So super fun. And so this is what it looks like without that tie closure, just so I can show you. It wasn't this chunky before I put everything in the pockets. It has, let's see, it has 40 pages, or if you count fronts and backs, it has 80, and I'm counting the bag in the page count too, I think. So, you know, that's 40 or 80, depending on how you count the pages. You can see it's got really chunky after I put all the ephemera in there. And, you know, I mean, that does add bulk, you know, like the button. You see the button card there and things like that. That adds a lot of bulk. So, anyway, super pretty. I just want to show you the edging, scalloped edging here. I think it's a really pretty view right there. So, anyway, I really enjoyed making this, as you can probably tell. I'm super excited about finishing it now. And so I hope you enjoyed the flip through, and I'll see y'all next time. Thanks for watching today, and happy crafting. See you next time.